Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's guest is a special one. She is Miss Olympia, and she also is a two-time Rising Phoenix World Bodybuilding Champion. Of course, the woman I'm talking about is Andrea Shaw. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Dave.
I think is this the first time we've had you here?
Yeah,
I think it is. All right. Well, you've earned it. You've more than earned it. And I have to tell you, first of all, congratulations on the big win last week, was it? Yeah, or the week before that, in the Rising Phoenix. And I want to give real congratulations to you in the sense that you know a lot of times the Miss Olympia will only do one show a year, or they'll do the Arnold and the Olympia. You laid it all on the line. You were the reigning Miss Olympia. You did the Rising Phoenix show. Now you're doing the Miss Olympia in 2 more weeks. You're cleaning up this year. Everything's going great for you. Talk to us.
Yes, thanks so much. It was definitely my heart's desire to really set the tone for ladies to not just hang their hats on Olympia qualification. The Rising Phoenix is still a very prestigious event for us, and it's definitely worth doing. So, I wanted to make sure that I sent a very strong message that it's not one to overlook. And especially with, a car and 50 grand up for grabs.
The prizes are insane. Now, you know what? Really, I say this to you guys because for women's bodybuilding, this is your Arnold Classic because they don't have I don't know why they don't have women's bodybuilding. I've been saying it for years, but they don't. So this is your women. Now this has become like the Arnold Classic. And then the Olympia is obviously the Olympia that we, thank God for Jake Wood that we got the Olympia.
Yes.
Now,
yes, thank goodness.
The awesome thing is when you think about it, you actually win more money at the Rising Phoenix show because Jake gives away that awesome car. Now you won a Camaro last year, right?
Yeah. So now I've got 2 cars.
And now you want a Corvette.
Yes.
And the Corvette is so flashy looking. Maybe Tyler could find a picture on your Instagram that, you must, it's bad enough that you stick out so much anyway when you drive. Now you got this car. Everyone must be just looking at you when you drive this thing,
Oh, yeah. I get the head turns a lot. So it's fun to watch people, but
now,
I hope they get it to me soon because we get winter here in Michigan, so I need to be able to drive.
I was going to ask you that. Is it tough to drive this thing in the winter?
Oh, yeah. But I sneak it out every now and then. As long as there's no snow, I try to just, pick and choose where to go.
The weather's still pretty good. Now, I heard that you're getting offers on the Camaro you won last year because now you have the new car coming, right?
Exactly. But it's still some sentimental value. I can't say I'm ready to part with it just yet. But
you don't need 2 cars. The insurance is a lot on these cars too, right?
I got a good deal.
Jake doesn't I know he pays the taxes. He doesn't pay the insurance, does he?
Yeah, he pays the insurance for the first year.
Oh, he does?
And then after that,
oh my God,
this guy's I got a good deal. The insurance for me for the whole year was only like $800. So I made out really good.
You must have a good driving record because that is pretty cheap for a sports car.
Well, and he told me very clearly, he's like, don't speed and don't kill yourself. And I said, promise I won't.
You know what? He's such a great benefactor for the sport because you know what? No one else would do the stuff that he does for you guys. And now for the whole sport because he owns the Olympia, obviously. But, really, he has supported women's bodybuilding and brought it back from the dead. And you know what? I applaud him because you know what? He has enough money to do it. And some people would rather go around and vacation and spend all their money on... He really loves women's bodybuilding and he supports it. And you know what? You have to really applaud him for that.
Big time. And even more reason why, because we've got some new girls coming over into women's bodybuilding, which I am super excited about because, there are a lot of girls who are just not in the right place in women's physique. They're too dense, they're too muscular, and we've got a place for them. But, I really, again, want them to know that the Rising Phoenix is just as important as the Miss Olympia because it's what has been keeping the sport really alive as the pinnacle until we brought it back to the Miss Olympia. So again, it's still very prestigious. Yes, it's by invitation only, but when you put the work in, you'll get the invitation.
So is the Arnold Classic by invitation only. And, we were talking earlier, also, look, my client, Leah Denny, she got the invite at the last minute because a couple people dropped out. And she went and placed top 5 and won probably more money placing 5th than all the girls play all year long who were winning shows. So
Exactly. And then you've got great prize money for the
Yeah.
best poser award. And this is
Right.
something new that they did this year, which, they offer first place, second place, and third place. So, I mean, you've really
Awesome.
got a chance to make some incredible money
Absolutely. And you know what?
just by showing
I
up.
love watching the routines when people put time and effort into it. It makes it much more exciting, obviously. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
and now I didn't know this, but you told me before the show you had COVID in March. How was that?
It was definitely something that I didn't foresee.
Did you get hit hard with
I
it?
mean, I made it through, the shows last year, and I was like, oh my gosh, well, thank goodness it didn't happen
Yeah.
during those times.
Yeah.
But the quarantine was fine. But again, once I came out of quarantine, I jumped right into training, and it was hot and heavy because I felt like, I was still in my improvement season, so I really didn't want to waste any time.
Sure.
But yeah, I just started to, and I added some mass. So I'm trying to figure out, proper hydration, proper rest and sleep schedule, because some things were just a little bit different that I noticed. So, a few trips to the doctor's office, and he's like checking my blood work and making sure that, if there was anything else that we could think of that I could add in antioxidant wise,
Sure.
that I did. So yeah, there was a lot of NAC,
I was saying,
astragalus to make sure.
glutathione really good too. Yeah.
Exactly. And I have a nebulizer that, I would have seasonal allergies, but, we decided that I would use a nebulizer until I felt like my cardiovascular was back up to speed, which
So
again,
you,
it didn't take long, but it was just a matter of figuring it out.
so you definitely had some lung involvement then. You definitely feel some residual effects from that COVID infection.
I did probably for about a week after, but then, after that, I mean, everything was just fine. So maybe it was just a matter of, I didn't have a whole lot of physical activity during the quarantine, but yeah, 10 days of I'm not used to that, sitting around and not
Yeah.
doing much.
That's all right. Sometimes that forced rest actually helps. Hey, look, when we look at what you competed at last year to this year, you gained 10 pounds of muscle essentially, because you told me you were Rising Phoenix last year, you were 169, you were 179 this year. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's a big jump, for a woman especially.
big
10
time, which
pounds on a
makes
woman
me
is like 20 pounds on a man gaining weight. Absolutely. Because
exactly.
how tall are you?
I am just under 5'6".
Yeah, that's a lot of weight on you. So
Yeah.
and it was all quality muscle, because I mean when I saw the pictures, you definitely improved, and that probably helped really cement that victory over Helly Nielsen. Yeah, El Chavito.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She gave me a good fight though. I mean, it was definitely. And I told her when we got off stage, I said, you knew it was probably going to be the two of us battling it out, just like it was last year.
I will
But
say though,
all the girls, I tell people, never sleep on anybody. You
no,
just never want to, come in and just kind of, because you're the champ, kind of coast in. You still need to work as if you never won.
I will say though, I like the Hellcat that she won. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was real. It was
That's a
beautiful.
badass car. Yeah, that's a really badass car. I would be a little
Yeah.
jealous actually. I would be like, man, I want that car. Although the Corvette is pretty sweet too. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you won 50 grand plus the Corvette at this Rising Phoenix show. And now the Olympia, we're not really sure what the prize money is, but last year I think it was what, 50,000?
Yeah, last year was 50,000. They did just release a. I know JM was a part of this post. He initially released it, I believe, that they're raising the prize money this year, and it seems to be across the board, but
That's
they
awesome.
haven't released any details yet. So
Even if you
I'm
get
hoping they
60
do
or
that
75
soon.
grand, I mean, that would be awesome, right?
Yeah, some more would be better, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a great start.
Yeah, but you got to remember that in the history of the women's bodybuilding, it was never this much. It went down, for a long time, and so now it's going up. So I think we're trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. And thank God for Wings of Strength, because, all of them, their entire team is just really committed to making sure that the fans have a good experience, the athletes have a good experience.
Sure.
And it's just been good for the sport all the way around. So now we just got to continue to grow the division.
Yeah, I think the talent pool will start to increase as people it starts registering in their brain. Wait a minute, they're giving away more prize money in women's bodybuilding than women's physique. Maybe I should do women's bodybuilding, because I personally, I wanted to ask you this question: do you think that women's physique has crossed the line in the sense that it's too close to women's bodybuilding? That's how I feel, at least. I think like there should be a much more bigger separation.
Yeah, I really kind of blame that on the competitors. And here's why. there are some women, and here's where I've been trying my very best to be a huge voice or a resource for these ladies. I think many of them look at women's physique and they say, you know, that's because I had the same mindset. This is something that seems to be more attainable for me,
right,
but they're just not in the right place.
No.
So, I mean, they're scared to make the jump. Many of them that I've talked to, because they're afraid that they're not big enough. Well, it's not always about the size, right?
No, but that's how it started, though. Originally, when there was only women's bodybuilding, if you weren't big enough, you got bigger. That's all. You know, you got a little bigger.
Exactly.
You have to make the jump at some point, right?
Exactly. But I mean, a lot of the girls that I've noticed, when you've got really, really strong striations, or if you've got that quad sweep,
right,
as soon as, and we can see it from the back,
right,
and it's huge on the front, like, you need to get out of women's physique, because that is not the right place.
I blame the judges, because the judges are giving these girls good placings in women's physique. They should give them bad placings and say, go to women's bodybuilding, and then they'll leave. That if the judges reward that in women's physique, then what's happening is that you're creating two women's bodybuilding divisions, essentially.
Well, they have to reward what shows up, though, right? So they have to.
No, they don't, because I remember when Figure first started, if the girls were too big, they'd put them in the last call out, and they said, and then when they talked to them after the show, they said, look, you don't belong in women's bodybuilding. You don't belong in Figure. You belong in women's bodybuilding. So they switched over. They don't do that anymore. And I think if they do that, the women's bodybuilding division will grow exponentially, because there are, like you're saying, there are a lot of good women's physique girls that belong in bodybuilding. And yeah, right, they're not as big as you are and Helly, but they'll get there and they'll evolve as their physique evolves to get to a point where they'll be competitive with people like yourself. But it's a process. Bodybuilding, you don't just overnight become a sensation. That's not how it works.
No, not at all. Not typically. Not typically.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few.
I mean, Linda Murray had a very unique climb to the top, but yeah, again, it's not as common. But again, I mean, the judges, I still think are fair, only because, I mean, if you had to reward someone who was not in good shape at all over someone who's, I mean, you know what I mean? Because let's be honest, right? Some competitors show up disillusioned and they are not in good shape.
Yeah, those should not be rewarded for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the judges, I mean, I think they're trying, but I think more girls really need to be open to having more conversation with their coaches, right? Like sometimes coaches are driving forces for helping girls make a decision. Like, you know, if you notice that during the off season, I heard Sydney say this a lot with her coach, you know, if she can see her muscles through their off season body, like, okay, she's getting a little too striated, you know, she's going in the wrong direction. So then they make, you know, changes along the way during her off season.
Well, that's smart. That's a smart way to go. Now, I have to ask this question. Is there something in the water in that Detroit area? Because an awful lot of great women bodybuilders have come out of that Michigan, Detroit area. You, Linda Murray, Iris Kyle. I mean, I think even Corey Everson is from there too. So what's with women bodybuilding and Detroit? It's like a magnet for you guys.
Yeah, well, Detroit is a gritty city, so it's one of those places that, you know, you either are gonna stand up or sit down, and many of us found a way, especially when you have, you know, a lot of the good gyms here. You know, Powerhouse is like, for us, it's the mecca of, you know, our Great Lakes region. So when you walk in the door of the gym, it sets the tone for, if you really want to be a champion, you can get it done here.
Now, John Simmons is coaching you, correct? So.
Yes.
And John was a great bodybuilder back in his day, and you know, he's got a lot of knowledge. Obviously, I know Ron Love is in the picture over there as well. Do those guys, is it inspiring to have a guy who actually did the work and actually was a champion himself now, who's actually helping you?
Oh, absolutely. And then Ron gives me, you know, a lot of encouragement. Even when I was an amateur, you know, he would tell me, you know, you're not bleeding enough. You need to work a little bit more.
He's got the greatest sayings of all time. Yeah, Ron. Yeah.
Because, you know, they know what it takes. They know exactly what it takes. And if they see you slacking, they're going to call you out. And that's the kind of gym environment that I've grown to really love and appreciate.
Well, congratulations on the huge win at the Rising Phoenix. And of course, you got the Miss Olympia coming up in 3 weeks, or a little less than 3 weeks. And best of luck there as well. I know you're going to be very, very difficult to beat at that show as well. And congratulations on all the successes you've had recently.
Thank you. I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to fight. I know that, you know, a lot of girls are looking at, you know, this opportunity just like I am. You know, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, because for Jake Wood to come in, I mean, I don't know about many other girls, but during that whole epidemic or pandemic with things being shut down, I was actually very, very happy that I was able to look forward to competing.
Yeah.
So, you know, this time in our lives is a very special time. And I think we should just do our best to make the most of it.
Absolutely. Amen to that. All right. That's going to wrap it up for today. Once again, best of luck on the rest of your prep for the Olympia. We'll see Andrea Shaw at the Miss Olympia in Orlando in 3 weeks. For now, though, we are out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo for another episode of Live With. We'll see you next time.